Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Action Network podcast. I'm Action Network audio director Matt Mitchell, and tomorrow marks a very special occasion known internationally as sports' biggest party. The Bet365 U.S. Darts Masters begins at the theater in Madison Square Garden as 16 of the best darts players on planet Earth square off for fame and fortune. Besides being a huge international party, this is also a huge international gambling event for pros and casuals alike, the darts equivalent of the U.S. Open in tennis or the Ryder Cup in golf in many ways. Joining me to discuss this unique summer betting extravaganza all the way from beautiful Denmark, my colleague and darts expert, Benjamin Leander of Danish betting brand Spil Experten. Benjamin, the action starts on Friday at MSG. How are you feeling?
I am excited, Matt. We just had a World Series event a couple of weeks ago here in Copenhagen, the Nordic Darts Masters, which was a huge success. And now we're going up a level because we're going to the Big Apple, we're going to New York City, and we're going to a tournament that has developed from a bit of a conference in 2017, the inaugural edition played in Las Vegas at the Tropicana Casino, now being moved to one of the most historical arenas in Madison Square Garden. So it will be an amazing event. It will be the best players from Europe. It will be amazing contenders from North America. And I think the crowd will have an experience of a lifetime.
Okay, like I mentioned at the top, this is a very special episode. The best players in darts have assembled in Manhattan, but we are still waiting on the draw. We're still waiting on the complete bracket to be released. That is obviously a crucial component to making some futures bets, but we do have outrights. We have the outright market. So Mr. Leander here will be sure to provide his picks at the end of today's episode. Okay, so here is what you are going to hear today. First up, you're going to hear basic strategy on how to bet on darts, courtesy of former action personalities Michael Leboff and Tim Kalinowski. I personally love betting on darts. Watching and betting on darts is absolutely electrifying. You'll hear some clips from some of the events interspersed in this episode. It is a great time. I can promise you that. Number two, you'll also receive a preview of the event and its wild atmosphere, an overview of all the top players, and of course, picks outright to win this event, courtesy of my colleague, Benjamin Leander. And then three, as a special treat, you'll also hear from some of the players themselves. I was able to get 3 good minutes live with 5 of the very best dart players on planet Earth as they got themselves ready at Madison Square Garden. Those players are Mighty Michael van Gerwen from the Netherlands, the Iceman, Gerwyn Price from Wales, English stars Nathan Aspinall and Luke Humphries, and the pride of Terre Haute, Indiana, Danny Lauby. So we'll sprinkle those very short, fun, personality-forward interviews in along the way, so you get a kind of a sense of what these guys are kind of all about. All right, we're going to kick things off with the short interview of darts betting, courtesy of my former colleagues, Mike Leboff and Tim Kalinowski, which they recorded just before the 2023 U.S. Darts Masters.
I'm Tim Kalinowski. He's Michael Leboff. He's a darts guy. He's an everything guy, hockey guy. That's what I care more about. But we have the Bet365 U.S. Darts Masters this weekend. Michael, how do you bet darts? What's it like? Is it like tennis? Is it like baseball? Walk me through it.
It is just like tennis. That's what I always tell people. And I always tell people, you watch one darts game, you're going to start to figure out the rhythm, the rules, and you're going to be hooked. It's such a fun sport to watch, and it's a great sport to bet. Like tennis, a lot of momentum swings, similar markets. You can bet money lines, you can bet game spread, you can bet set spreads if it's set play. So there's a lot of stuff you can choose from. There's also like props like most 180s in a match. Will there be a 9-darter? So there's, it's just like anything else. You can kind of get into derivatives. We'll start with the easy stuff, which is like a money line. Me and you are playing darts. I'm better than you. I'll be a favorite, maybe minus 140. You'd be plus 120. just like you'd be betting a baseball game, a hockey game, anything like that. It's pretty simple.
And then a spread as well?
So yeah, so there's a couple different formats of darts, right? You can have a set like tennis, like where you can best of 5 sets, or you can have just games, right? Like, which would be like if you were playing me in tennis and we just played one set, right?
Right.
And those games could be first to 5 legs, first to 7 legs. So bookmakers like Bet365 will set a spread like -2.5 games, -2.5 sets, and you can play into any of those. Big favorites, of course, you'll be like, -3.5 games in a race to 7 legs, or -2.5 sets in a best of 5. So it's very similar to tennis in a weird way, because you watch a tennis match and then you watch a darts match. You're like, this doesn't make any sense, but the markets are similar.
Now, the toughest thing for me when I'm betting darts is I'm not a math guy, so I bet, I put it on, I'm like, what's this 501 thing? What's the strategy? How exactly does the scoring work?
It's as simple as it sounds. You start with 501 points and you have to get it exactly to 0. But there is one catch, right? You have to close out on a double. You know what a darts board looks like. That outer ring, the green and the red bits, those are the doubles. So you have to hit that little square to close out your score. If you have 40 points left, you have to hit double 20 to close out, right? So that's where the pressure comes from at the end of a match. Like, you'll see guys just in the madhouse missing those doubles. And as we spoke to a couple pros today, we're like, well, what should a new darts player practice? And he said, your doubles. Just practice your doubles.
How about, so when you're trying to double out, as they call it, and you keep hitting other parts of the board, do they just not count?
If you go over your score, like, you bust, right? So if you're on 40 and you hit the triple 60, you bust, you go back to 40 for your next shot.
Gotcha. And can I bet overs?
You can bet overs for sure. You can bet, if you and I are playing, let's say we're pretty evenly matched players, and you think, oh, this is going to go neck and neck. Maybe someone wins 4 legs to 3, and the over-under is set at 6.5, so you can get into that kind of stuff. Or if you think I'm going to wipe you out, under. I
don't think so. Well, how about like the futures market? If we're going into a tournament, do they set lines like that, or are you able to get some good underdogs?
Yep.
I heard someone talking about a 500 to 1 a couple weeks ago. So is that something we can get in on?
Yeah. So Rob Cross, he won the World Championship on debut. In the months leading up to the tournament, he was as high as 500 to 1. He shortened a bit because he got into some pretty good form going into the tournament. He wasn't even qualified yet, and he told us a story about his friend betting him at 500 to 1 and then running away with the winnings to Australia. But it's the same as you would bet like a golf tournament, like a golf major, let's say. They'll have a market up for the World Championships all year long. And you think, oh man, this guy looks like he's heading in the right direction. Last year, it was a debutant named Josh Rock, his price, it seemed like anyone who was betting darts had bet Josh Rock early in the year, and his price slashed considerably. The bookies were going to take a pretty big bath had he won. He didn't, but it's similar to golf or tennis, where if you think someone's heading in the right direction, you want to get in early, place a bet at longer odds before the rest of the world kind of picks up and notices.
Gotcha. And is it like, do you bet it like your other sports where you love some underdogs?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the strategy for you?
Yeah, because it's 2 people playing a game of darts, right? Like,
that's what they all said. Hey, at the end of the day, 3 darts.
Yep. What if someone's having a bad day? Like when you're betting a big favorite, someone like Michael van Gerwen's going to be a favorite in almost every match, and his margin for error is so thin when you're betting at those kind of prices. So what if he's like under the weather? What if he's just not in good rhythm? What if he traveled because he plays tournaments basically every week? Maybe he's a little fatigued. So I like to kind of read into that and try to find guys who maybe are in a tough spot and bet those underdogs. But in the longer formats, those dogs don't bark as much, but in early rounds of tournaments, they do.
Alrighty. Now we're on to preview the 2025 edition of the Bet365 US Darts Masters. Benjamin, please describe this event, how it works, how the bracket's set up.
Yeah, like you said, Matt, we have 16 players competing in a knockout format, like we know from many other events. In the top bracket, we know for now that we have Stephen Bunting as the top seed. Might be a bit spectacular since he is not the number 1 in the world, nor the best player. But the seeding in these World Series event, that is US Darts Masters, Polish Darts Masters next week, Copenhagen, the Nordic Darts Masters earlier this month. It is the order of merit earned on the World Series tour that counts. So we have a top seed in Stephen Bunting in the top draw, along with Luke Littler, who is 4th seeded. And then in the bottom of the bracket, we have Rob Cross as a 2nd seed and Gerwyn Price as the 3rd seed. So Bunting and Littler cannot meet Cross and Price before the final. And then we'll have the top players like Nathan Aspinall, Luke Humphries, sorted into the bracket so that a player like Luke Littler can be unfortunate to meet Luke Humphries already in the 2nd round, the quarterfinals. It is a first to 6 legs event, so best of 11, and the final will be played in best of 15 legs, with semifinals best of 13 legs and quarterfinals best of 11 legs. So of course, the longer the format, the more it favors the better players, which is kind of also one of the reasons that we haven't seen more than one North American player in a final during the 7 previous editions of US Darts Masters.
You mentioned Luke Littler here. Could you tell our unfamiliar American listeners what makes Luke Littler unique?
Luke Littler is something as rare as a 17-year-old defending world champion. I don't think you'll see many athletes with that status all around the world in any sport, but this is a wonder kid. This is a phenomenal player who already in his early teenage years was described as, this is one for the future, but he is peaking right now. His fellow players are full of praise for Littler and what he has done to the sports. Darts interest has erupted after Littler came forward to the big stage and showed very, very early in his career that he is capable of challenging the mighty, the myth, the record maker, Phil Taylor, who has 16 PDC World Championships on his name. Littler can take that record from Taylor if he just plays up to this level that we have seen in his only 2-year-long senior career. So Littler is the favorite for the outright tournament victory as per Bet365 odds. And he is one to watch. Even if you're not into darts, you have to see this. I mean, he's just a kid. He is still just a kid playing with. He scores so many 180s, the maximum score in darts, which is basically the touchdown of darts, or the goal of darts. He is like no one else in that top field of darts players. And along with his capability of winning legs by closing on a double, he should be seen. It's like Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi in soccer. You have to watch this guy.
He almost gives a Wayne Gretzky-like feel in that he's remarkably talented and remarkably successful so young, but he's also becoming almost universally respected, even among his much older peers, and identified as someone truly special. One of those peers, Michael van Gerwen, one of the very best players in the world, has been for quite some time. We were able to catch up with him. Here is a quick word with Michael van Gerwen. I'm joined by Michael van Gerwen. Michael, you have a remarkable 14-4 lifetime record at this event. You are the most successful player in this event's history. You have 47 career major wins, but is this a special tournament for you?
This is definitely one of it. I love to come to this side of the world in America, and it's always a party. It's always nice to come back here. And also, to be fair, we only play once a year, so it is something special for us.
You've spent some time away from the sport recently, but you're back. You're stepping up to the Aki again. Describe how you felt on that flight from your home to New York.
I had a really tough period lately, but I jumped on the flight with one intention, and that's to do well in this tournament. I want to see where I stand now, and I want to do some great damage on the big stage again.
Michael, I want you to imagine yourself in 2007. You are 18 years old. How does that Michael van Gerwen do against Luke Littler this weekend?
I think if you both look to us on our peak, I'm mentally stronger than him, so I will probably win, because on moments that matters the most, I'm a bit ahead of him. Of course, he's a fantastic talent, and he's going to make me really difficult, but yeah, someone has to win.
All right, Michael, we're going to do this 7 rapid-fire questions.
No problem.
Name one Dutchman every American should know.
Johan Cruyff.
Do you like the nickname Mighty Mike?
Yes.
What's the hardest part about winning in darts?
Know how to lose.
What's your favorite drink after a day of competition?
A glass of red wine.
Who is the scariest person alive?
Scared. I'm not scared of anyone.
What's the best part about competing in America?
MSG. If I say to people MSG, they say, what? Yeah, we play darts.
Do you think you can win it all this weekend?
Yes, of course.
Michael, the very best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Leander, we've talked about the event itself, the Bet365 US Darts Masters. Describe for our audience, though, why it is called Sports' Biggest Party.
I think it's a perfect description because a party should be fun. A party should be for everyone. And that's what darts is. I mean, we come from the latest edition of World Championships, where we had Luke Littler, as before mentioned, aged 17. And in the other end of the field, we had Paul Lim, aged 71. So darts is literally for everyone, both players and the crowd. It is a mix between a festival that meets a carnival that meets a sports game. It is this unique combination, and where in almost every other sports we gather on someone's home field to watch home versus away, most likely with most people cheering for the home team. No one is coming to the MSG on Friday and Saturday cheering against someone. Everyone going to the MSG just wants good darts. They hope to see the mythical 9-darter, the home run with bases loaded and everyone just going in of darts, where you literally just use only 9 darts to score 501 points. That's the minimum amount of darts you can use to score 501. And everyone are just coming for the good ambience, the different costumes. You will see both bananas, you will see traffic cones, you will see Donald Duck, you will see the mask, you will see 100s of different sorts of costumes going to the darts, along with good ambience and really nothing negative to say about this. There's no hostile crowds like we see actually recently in Germany or the rest of Europe, where there's really been hostile ambience towards some of the players. The party in Madison Square Garden will be people just coming for good darts, and that is why it is the biggest party of sports.
It is really something to behold. Without further ado, though, let's hear from top darter Nathan Aspinall. I'm joined by Nathan Aspinall. Nathan, you have stated publicly you will not let dartitis defeat you. Are you still winning the battle?
I am. Yes, it's been a tough battle. It's been a tough 12 months, but I think we're through the worst of it now. There's still a little bit left, but 1-0 to Nathan.
I want you to finish this sentence. The best part about playing at Madison Square Garden is
the American crowd.
Really?
They're really good. Honestly, it's nice to play a darts tournament where you've not just got loads of people screaming at you and jumping around and not actually watching, because we don't come out here that often. It's nice to be on a stage looking out and people are actually watching. So, I think the crowd is brilliant.
Nathan, I want you to picture that it is 2009 and you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
How would that Nathan Aspinall do against Luke Littler this weekend?
Not very well, because they'd only been playing darts for 6 months. I only started playing darts at 17. He would have absolutely hammered me. But I'd beat him at drinking, but he'd beat me in the dartboard.
Hitting a double to close out a match has been described by a lot of players as torturous at times. What advice would you give amateur players to nailing those closeout doubles?
For me, you've got to try and say to yourself, this isn't to win the match, which is easier said than done. Obviously, over the years, I've kind of craved in my head now. But in my early days, I used to think, if I win this, I've won £1,000 or whatever. Just treat it as another leg. So when you're stepping up to that hockey, just pretend it's just to win another leg instead of winning the game. That's something that I still do now, in big occasions. So that's probably the best bit of advice I can give on that. What
takes a bigger toll on the mind and body, being a goalkeeper or playing in a darts tournament?
No, darts, without a doubt. Them individual sports are so in between the ears. Do you know what I mean? We've all got talent. We're all as good as each other. But, I think a lot of the times who wins a darts tournament is who's in between the ears.
All right, 7 questions. You just spit out an answer.
Yep, let's go.
Name one Englishman all Americans should know.
David Beckham.
What's the best part about your hometown of Stockport?
Me. I'll go me.
What's the hardest part about winning at darts?
The fatigue.
What's your favorite drink after a day of competition?
Probably a JD and Coke.
What is the best part about competing in America?
Seeing the talent that America's producing on the dartboard.
Do you think you can win it all this weekend?
Of course. I will win it all.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, pal.
All right, let's get to the fun part. Let's talk betting. First, let's talk about the very top of the board. Benjamin, help us get to know some of these top players.
We already mentioned Luke Litter, Matt, as not the overwhelming favorite, but he is the clear favorite in terms of odds to win the US Darts Masters. He's being followed by a fellow Luke Humphries, the current world #1 in terms of prize money won the last 12 months. And after that, we have personal favorite, Gerwyn Price. I don't know if it's...
He is showing
a
Gerwyn Price tattoo on his left arm. That I've spoken to you several times, and you've waited till just now to unholster that for me. Wow, you really knocked my socks off there.
So maybe a bit of personal bias, but Gerwyn Price is the third favorite to win the tournament. He's been battling with some illness before traveling to the US, but according to his Instagram stories and his interview with you today, he seems in good spirits and also plays good darts at the moment. Was a runner-up at the World Cup of Darts, the team event, where they lost the final to Northern Ireland. So Littler, Humphries, and Price are the top 3, but very, very closely followed by the additional European field with Michael van Gerwen, with Stephen Bunting, Nathan Aspinall, and only non-European contender Damon Heta, who's making his World Series debut this week in Madison Square Garden. So best American outright shot would be Matt Campbell from Canada, but not with very huge success in recent editions of the US Darts Masters. So that will be a long shot of the very big one.
Could you give us the odds of the top 10?
Luke Litter, 2.75. I don't know.
So we'd say plus 275.
Yeah, plus 275. Luke Humphries, plus 450. Gerwyn Price, plus 650. Michael van Gerwen, plus 750. And then followed by Stephen Bunting, plus 1,000. And then Damon Heta, Nathan Aspinall, and Rob Cross, all plus 1,300. And like I said, Matt Campbell, plus 8,100.
All right. We heard Luke Humphries and the Iceman Gerwyn Price mentioned. Let's hear from them right now. I'm joined by Luke Humphries. Luke, you have a 3-3 record in World Series tournaments this year. Has your World Cup of Darts exit made you even hungrier for success this weekend?
Yes and no. I mean, of course, when you lose a tournament, the first tournament, I've played for a long time. I lost first game, so yeah, obviously really hungry to bounce back. But yeah, I'm always willing to win. I want to win every tournament I play, and it doesn't matter whether I'd have won the World Cup or lost the World Cup. I'd have still been hungry to come over and win again. And I think most of the players are all desperate to get their hands on the trophy this weekend.
Finish this sentence. Madison Square Garden is
iconic. Yeah, it's the most iconic venue that we play on by far. And when I was younger, I used to watch WWE, and I remember WrestleMania coming to Madison Square Gardens, and I just knew from that moment how special it was for me to say 20 years fast forward and to be here playing. It's an amazing spectacle, and it's one that I thoroughly enjoy to come back to every year.
Is it true that your superfan father named you Luke as an acronym for Leeds United Kings of Europe?
Yes, it's very true. He did. I was going to be called Liam, and then there was a guy on the news it was his 18th birthday, and obviously that come up on the news about how that guy named his son after LUK Leeds. So my dad copied him, did the same, and named the Humphries Football Club.
Luke, I want you to imagine that it's 2013. You're 18 years old. How would that version of yourself perform against Luke Littler this weekend?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been a great show for myself, to be honest. I was nowhere near his level when I was 18. Yeah, he's a special talent and he's a special kid, but I think for me, I've had a slow rise up the rankings, got myself to where I am now, and I'm glad I did it that way. Obviously, having a normal job for about 6-7 years, and then obviously getting to realise how hard life can be to now how better it is for me and my family. So yeah, I appreciate my slow journey, but yeah, I don't think I'd have fared too good, to be honest, when I was 18 against Luke.
At this event last year, you proposed to your now fiance. Do you have any more big surprises in store this weekend?
No more surprises this year. I learned my lesson last year. One big surprise. It was a special moment for us both. I knew that New York was one of the cities that she was desperate to come to and to see. And I was ready to do it, but I knew that was the perfect timing for me to do it. And obviously, there's no big surprises this year, though.
All right, Luke, we're going to do this rapid fire to close.
Yep, ready.
Luke, name one Englishman every American should know.
Phil Taylor.
You played darts with the UK Prime Minister. Is there another celebrity you'd like to play a game of darts with?
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
What's the hardest part about winning at darts?
What to do with the money you win?
What is your favorite drink after a day of competition?
Probably water, because you're dehydrated. You need good water inside you. It's good sleep. But an alcoholic drink, I love like a mojito or vodka and Coke Zero.
Who is the scariest person alive?
Probably Francis Ngannou.
What's the best part about competing in America?
I love being in America, so that's the greatest part. And yeah, just the American culture. I love it. The food. Being here is one of my favorite places. So yeah, I'd love that. Hopefully, in the future, we could bring more darts to America. I do enjoy coming over it.
Do you think you can win it all this weekend?
I don't think. I know I can win this weekend.
Well, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck to you, Luke.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'm joined by Gerwyn Price. Gerwyn, only you and Michael Van Gerwen have played every edition of the U.S. Darts Masters. You were runner-up last year. What does this year's tournament mean to you?
I'm proud to be able to represent the PDC, every single time we come out here, but it'd be nice to lift the trophy once and for all. Fell short last year against Rob Cross. Could have won, but it just didn't happen. But yeah, I've got another chance this year, and I'm glad to be back.
Gerwyn, what's the best part about playing at Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, I just love playing in front of the crowd, playing in an iconic venue, which is always nice to come out here and do that, but just playing in front of such a fantastic crowd as well.
So I want you to imagine yourself back in 2003. You're 18 years old. How would that version of Gerwyn Price do against Luke Littler this weekend?
Yeah, I'll probably lose 8-0. I never really picked up a dart when I was 18. Yeah, just in the local pub, while I was playing rugby or rugby training. So yeah, I don't think I'd win a leg.
Now, to paint a picture for our American audience, you are what we call an absolute unit of a human being. Do you consider yourself the strongest darts player in New York City right now?
Possibly not anymore. I think I've lost a little bit of timber, so lost a little bit of strength as well. But maybe back in the day, maybe 10 years ago, I would have said yeah.
To end this, we're just going to go rapid fire.
Happy days.
Gerwyn, name one Welshman every American should know.
Tom Jones.
Do you like the nickname the Iceman?
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about winning at darts?
The hardest part is losing, but the winning part is the easy part, I think.
What's your favorite drink after a day of competition?
I'm pretty boring, so maybe like a coffee cappuccino or something like that.
What's the best part about competing in America?
Best part about competing in America is being able to just be here, enjoying myself in New York City. I've been to America a few times, to New York, to Las Vegas, and represented darts as well. But yeah, just being here in person is the best part.
And do you think you can win this weekend?
100%.
Gerwyn, thanks so much for joining us.
No worries. Thank you.
All right. Before we talk about some other notable players in the field, I do want to stress that I've been with Action a very long time. I've been a part of, 5,000 podcast recordings in 7 years. I was going to say that the most shocking thing I've been a part of in one of these is when one of our hosts turned and vomited during the recording. Another time, someone broke in to someone's home while they were recording, directly behind the host. You showing me a giant Gerwyn Price screaming, because that's Gerwyn Price is famous for his roars. Mid-roar tattoo during this recording is one of the most surprising things I've ever had sprung on me. But I'm glad you're not throwing up, and I'm glad there's no home invasion taking place. Anyway, we've talked about the top of the board. Let's talk about other notable players in the field.
It's impossible not to mention the less likely winner of the tournament, Jules van Dongen, named plus 75,000 to win the tournament. Jules has been through a torrid time recently, suffering from dartitis. This mental condition where you really struggle as a darts player to release the darts in time. I know that we have talked about baseball players struggling to throw a simple ball from one base to another. This is a bit the same in darts, where Jules has been struggling big time with this, so much that he has actually been experimenting by changing his grip from being a right-hander to being a left-hander. I can't even imagine the amount of hours and practice that he has put into it. Jules opened up before the US Darts Masters, telling that he might put the darts in its shelf for a rather long time to get things fixed. But it's also the first time that Jules' parents are attending the US Darts Masters with him playing. I know that his children are in the stands as well. So I'm just praying for Jules to get a good experience. He has been throwing way under his usual level, and it could turn very ugly if he draws Luke Linder or Stephen Bunting or basically any other European player in the first round, because the gap of levels are so big due to Jules's dartitis and his injuries that he's been struggling with. So even though I cheer for Gerwyn Price in pretty much every tournament, I would definitely cheer for Jules van Dongen just to get a single leg on the board against one of these European players. That would be a huge accomplishment from the American daughter.
A wonderful breakdown. Couple things to add here. Dartitis is basically the darts equivalent of what American sports fans would call the yips, where as you described, a simple and repetitive motion there's a mental block that makes it impossible. That happened to MLB All-Stars Steve Sachs and Chuck Knobloch in the 80s and 90s. It most recently happened to pitcher Rick Ankiel in the St. Louis Cardinals system, and he successfully converted to being an outfielder. That was probably the most recent example. So a phenomenon American sports fans are certainly familiar with, and we wish him nothing but the best. I'd also add that Michael van Gerwen, one of the best players in the world, has been off the scene for about a month, going through a very public and very a difficult separation from his wife. This will be his first event back here in America, so we wish him all the very best as well in this event. And with that, let's hear our last interview with American darts player Danny Lauby before we get to your picks for this event. Hello, everyone. This is Action Network's Matt Mitchell on behalf of Bet365, the sponsor of the PDC US Darts Masters. I'm joined by Danny Lauby. Danny, you have an 0-3 record at the US Darts Masters, but you're coming off some very strong play at the World Cup of Darts against Hong Kong and Bahrain. Are you ready for your first win at this event?
You bet, man. Yeah, 100%.
The best part about playing at Madison Square Garden is
being home. It's a privilege to be there. It's the best venue. It's huge. But the fact that I get to do that for a living and be there, but doing it at home is nostalgic to me. So that's really what it is. But I'm still coming to hopefully embarrass some family names and crush some games here.
Danny, I want you to imagine yourself in 2011. You're 18 years old. How does that, Danny, perform against Luke Linder this weekend?
Same way that I'm going to perform this weekend when I play him. You know what it is. It's a simple game. They're going to play well, and you know what you got to do, and that's what we got to do. We just got to land the plane and just get it done. Do what you do.
Danny, to close out, rapid fire questions. You can just spit out your answer. Name one American all your European competitors should know.
Michael Jordan.
What's the best part about Terre Haute, Indiana?
Taco Casita.
What's the hardest part about winning in darts?
Not thinking about what you're doing while you're doing it.
What's your favorite drink after a day of competition?
I like a good bourbon. Well, maybe two.
Who is the scariest person alive?
Probably my son when he didn't get enough sleep.
What's the best part about competing in America?
The people.
Do you think you can win it all this weekend?
Yes.
That's it. Danny, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
All right. The table's set. The preamble is over. Who do you like as your favorite outright picks for this Bet365 US Darts Masters?
Everything comes with a price in terms of betting. We all know that. So, of course, I acknowledge that Luke Littler, due to his phenomenal skill level, is the favorite to win the US Darts Masters. But it is a special tournament due to the nature that the Europeans travel across the Atlantic Ocean, dealing with everything from, we learned, separation, jet lag, illness, everything. So it is a rare occasion that the Europeans are going west. One of the players who obviously enjoys going west is Nathan Aspinall. In the two latest editions, he won the first game and exited in the next one, but actually played decent darts, averaging almost 100 in every game that he played during the tournament. He won the tournament in 2019 in the first edition of playing in the MSG. And I like the fact that Aspinall this time is traveling by himself. The family is not going this year with neither his girlfriend or his two daughters. So he has been talking publicly about he has more time to focus on training and the tournament itself. And of course, like you said, Matt, we don't know the bracket yet. I would be a bit sad to see him drawn just under Luke Littler, per example, drawing Matt Campbell in the first round, the probably best North American player, just to look into a matchup against Luke Littler. But if Nathan gets just a little fortunate draw, maybe with a match against Jules van Dongen in the first round, looking into a second round match against maybe Rob Cross, maybe some other player, maybe Damon Heta, maybe Stephen Bunting, then I have a hard time not being able to find value in plus 1,300 on Nathan Aspinall, which will be 13 times your stake, approximately, I would say. I find him good value, even if he is only the 7th and 6th pick on Bet365 outright odds.
Outstanding. Aspinall to win it all at the Bet365 US Darts Masters. That is it for today's episode, but I do have one last exciting announcement. We're running the Action Network Betting Bullseye Contest on social media. If you follow Action Network HQ on Twitter, you will see a post about the contest. Respond with your favorite pick to win the event, and one lucky entrant will receive a year of Action Pro access, an Action Network hoodie, and my deepest congratulations. I'll be in charge of prizing. So be sure to enter, be sure to participate. Please enjoy all the darts action on Friday and Saturday at MSG. My thanks to Benjamin Leander from Spill Expertin. Enjoy the darts, and we'll see you next time right here on the Action Network podcast.